Thank you very much for having us today. As you have heard, we are going to talk about the data governance and security, and we are going to go a little bit more into detail with the data quality. And the reason why we actually chose to speak about this topic today was that first of all, of course, its importance of the topic for any company that deals with data, but it's also that it can be very fun for software engineers to work in this area. So it's not only for legal and compliance. But before we start, let's maybe just introduce ourselves shortly. So my name is Magdalena Zjakic, and I am living in Sweden, in Stockholm, and I work for Swedbank for a little bit more than 4 years. I've worked in various positions, but I've actually never worked as a software engineer. I am originally from Bosnia and Croatia, from Balkans, and this group of people that you can see actually on the picture is partially my team, and the reason why this represents me as professionally is, as cheesy as it may sound, it's actually me, and I wouldn't exist without these people, without these engineers. And we are an international team. We have engineers both in Sweden, in Stockholm. We also have some in Gothenburg, but we also have engineers that work for us here in Baltics. But privately, and our editor is actually trying to make a little joke about us, I'm trying to spend as much time as possible with my family. And I had hobbies 2 years ago, but since I got my daughter, I actually became a little bit boring, I would say so. So she's my only hobby. And Rauno, you?
Yeah, hi. My name is Rauno. I am a software engineer in data quality inside Swedbank. And I actually have studied in Tartu, and I currently work in Tartu as well. And a little more about me is that, I like riding motorcycles. I ride safely, but let's hope that I don't crash in traffic anytime soon. And if I don't do that, I go to the gym, spend time with my friends in nature. And of course, IT is a big hobby of mine as well. And I have been lucky enough to have IT as my career as well. And you can see my team. The picture was taken on a volunteering day in Tallinn, and we were packaging some food for the families in need. That's about it.
Thank you. And maybe just let's talk briefly about who we actually are as a team and why we actually deal with this topic. So we are a guild of 64 people, and those 64 people are divided into 3 teams. But we as a guild belong to a bigger department, which is called GBI, which is Group Business Intelligence. And the aim of Group Business Intelligence is to provide for the whole Swedbank trustfully data and a place where they can do analytics as well. And we work on different platforms, and we also work on warehouses and data lakes as well. So today we are going to present a little bit about both of those so that you can kind of get a feeling about data strategy on both. So as I said, we are divided into 3 teams. We call them sometimes COEs, and I will say why we call them COEs, Center of Excellences. But the first COE that we have is a team with a clear focus on the batch and streaming analytics. And here we have software engineers that work mainly as data engineers on mainly Ab Initio and Kafka. And we actually, not that I'm trying to use this presentation as a recruitment platform, but we are searching for Ab Initio engineers ourselves right now. Then we have a second team, that is the team that I actually lead, which has a clear focus on AI processes and governance. And in this team, you can find people who are MLOps, DevOps, security engineers, and software engineers. And then you have a third group of people, the third COE, with a clear focus on cloud engineering. And here people mostly work, the cloud engineers or software engineers, they work mostly on Azure and Databricks. Yes, and why we actually call it a COE and not just team. We are not just a group of people that have the same roles and that are working in the same area. We also try to give our employees opportunity to actually grow, either within their current role that they're having, or we also give them the opportunity to change their role within the guild if they want to. What we have here is 5 different pillars of the Center of Excellence. The first one is actually innovation, and we run it through our COP. COP is Community of Practice. And we kind of have 3 different topics that we mainly work on, which is the platform improvement, which is the technology, and the innovation. And here we talk about different topics that come to us during the normal working, some issues that we are facing, and we are trying to make those better within these communities, and we are trying to come up with ideas with everybody involved. We also talk about technologies, and which technologies, if there are some new technologies coming out, if they could actually benefit us in our daily work. And also we talk about innovation. How can we make the platform that we are working on better actually for our stakeholders? Then the second one is the processes, second pillar. And this is a very important one, especially when it comes to governance. Because as the technology improves and changes, our processes need to follow that as well. So there needs to be regular reviews of the processes. We have different types of processes. I will not go through them, but some of them are access management, data quality, development, deployment, etc. Then we have the middle 2, which are directly connected to people evolving in their roles. The first one is the standard and best practices, and all of the 4 roles that I've mentioned before, they have their standard practices and best practices. And they help you to evolve from maybe being a junior to being a senior, etc. Or if you want to change your career path, you have the Knowledge and Skill Hub, where we have the training academies and career academies as well. And then the 5th pillar is I would say the one that every team has. Doesn't matter if you are working as a COE concept or just as a regular team, where the team health is the most important one. But as I said before, we are working on different platforms, and the first platform that I'm going to talk about is our EAP platform, which is a state-of-art analytical platform that we have actually built. And this platform was 2 years ago still on-prem, and we have moved it to the cloud, and we are actually the first bank, both in Nordics and Baltics, to have actually moved the platform to cloud, and we have it fully functioning there, and we are actually very, very proud of that. But what does this platform actually do? By the way, EAP means Enterprise Analytical Platform. So this platform holds over 50 different sources and more than 700 different tables that are migrated to the cloud. Then we also have over 600 ETL jobs that are up and running on the cloud as well. We have over 120 terabytes of data that is available there, and using this above data and ETL jobs, we have above 25 plus, and now even more, rules or machine learning models that are running regularly. The same goes for the non-analytical workloads, and we have, I think this number is even higher now, but it's more than 30 now. Our development and deployment approach is DevOps-based, and we are integrated with the platform to various BI tools, reporting and analytical ones. And to be able to have all of the above mentioned, we need to have a fully secured and compliant platform, because we all know that being on cloud has its own issues, and it owns hindrances which we need to overcome to be able to be compliant. And we also have the automated data governance and access control, which helps us a lot with actually being compliant on the platform. So how do we actually achieve unified cloud data access and control for exploration, for analytical exploration? And we at GBI have actually focused on two different parts. We kind of defined 4 different points, which we call key lookouts, that we have actually worked upon while we were moving the platform to the cloud. And then we also have other key areas, of course, that we work besides those 4, but the 4 that actually helped us a lot becoming compliant and having our data safe there. So the first one, the first point is the policy management point. And that one has a lot to do with the processes that I have mentioned before. So this one is the process of creating, implementing, and maintaining different processes and procedures on the EAP. And as I said, as the technology evolves, we also need to evolve these on a regular basis. Then we have the data obfuscation. I'm sorry, I can't pronounce this word, but in a regular human word, it's actually data masking. And I think this is like something that nowadays every company is having. But it's very important part if you have your data on the cloud. At least that's what we have decided. And for those of you who don't know, but I assume everybody knows, it's modifying the data in the way that it's not of use for people who are coming without any without any authority to the platform, but for people who have access and softwares who have access, the data makes total sense. And then you have the sensitive data discovery, and this one is actually a very, very important point. This one helps us to actually find the sensitive data within all of the tables that we have on the platform, and it marks them as sensitive data because this is very, very important and became very important with the GDPR. And for us, we pay a special attention to this one, as, even if we are kind of giving the data or loading the data to our internal stakeholders. And then, of course, you have the auditing and reporting that is happening on a regular basis. So these 4 points were the main 4 points, the, as we call it, lookouts, when we actually move the platform to the cloud. Of course, I will talk about other things as well, but these are very important. Then the other criteria were accesses and control on the cloud data, then fast and secure data discovery, secure and self-serving policies, etc. But we will not go with those into detail. So how do we actually still make the platform? So somebody who would look at these points would say, okay, this is a very rigid platform and it's not very easy to get access to this data that you're holding there. But how do we actually still make it attractive for our stakeholders to actually go and use the platform? And we have actually used the Immuta software that helps us with the governance work. And the reason why we have chosen the Immuta platform is that it helps us on 3 different places. The first one is improvement of data security and governance, which is one of the most important ones, where we can safely share the data, easily provide the compliance data use, manage accesses, etc. But then we also have the other 2 that are very important for the stakeholders themselves. And the first one is getting data faster, because for the stakeholders, that's the most important part. How do we get the stakeholders on the platform very quickly so that they can finish whatever project they have in their deadline? And Immuta actually helps us with that. So it enables us the faster time to date, increased productivity, of course, and it empowers the business, all the stakeholders themselves, to actually manage accesses. And then also Immuta helped us with fewer data policies, which then eliminates the complexity and makes everything much faster. the 4 points that we talked about, the lookout points, plus having the technological technology behind with Immuta, is that enough actually to make our stakeholders want to use the platform? I think, or we think in our department, that that's not the only thing. Because you can have the technology, you can make it secure, but how do you actually get the stakeholders to, let's say, get the value for their money? And we do that with the enhancements on the platform itself. So since the platform moved to the cloud, our software engineers are mostly working on the enhancement of the platform itself. So those are, for example, data dictionary or curable layer or anonymized data or bring your own data, etc. But maybe just to give you a short example, let's say you have a stakeholder that needs to report to authorities within a month. And they know exactly which 10 attributes they need from our data, but they don't know where those attributes are. So they know approximately that those attributes are in the 50 tables. But sourcing that, them looking through that data, etc., would take a long time, of course. So what we came up with are these accelerators so that they can actually access the platform without getting all of those data, and they can query the data, the meta model that doesn't show them any actual data, but will show them which attributes are on the platform. And all of that data is anonymized, which makes us compliant. And with that, they are actually able to pick out those 10 attributes that they are actually needing. And let's say those 10 attributes are in 5 tables. So in the end, we just need to source them the 5 tables instead of 50, because they have already done the pre-work, and that helps them a lot. And then they can also combine and bring their own data to the platform and combine it with those 5 tables that we have there, which helped them a lot from the business perspective as well. But not to talk about EAP only and what the governance strategy there is. We also have our data warehouses. And imagine if the lake has 120 terabytes of data with only 2 years. How much does a 200-year-old bank actually have data on the warehouses? And it's a very important question of the governance. How do we actually gather the data? How do we store it? How do we process the data? And how do we actually get rid of that data? And how do we make these decisions? And for me, there are actually 4 very important pillars of governance. One of them is data quality, which Rauno is going to talk about right away. But then we have the data stewardship, we have the data protections and security, and we have the data management. We manage all of these questions, all of our governance, in a tool called Swedbank. This is a homemade tool, but with the help from Abnitio tool. And this is a mock-up of the tool itself, where we can manage all of the governance at one place. And Rauno, now to you, because we need to concentrate on the DQ.
Thank you. So, data quality. Why do we need it? What is it? So, starting off, data quality is a big part of data management. And as data grows over time, it becomes harder and harder to control. If the data is authentic, if it has the quality it needs, and most importantly, that it's complete and everything else combined, as the receiver of the data wants to have the data in the best shape possible. So let's look at the key problems. So, starting off, different sources of data can appear in databases, and while it doesn't seem like a huge problem at first, it can create problems when it's combined from multiple sources, whether it is an API, a different database. Databases themselves can be different as well. It can be data from an Excel, and if you put it all into one place, you can have conclusional results that data is all mashed into one field. We're not having proper columns. It can also be that different encodings are in data, and when encodings are different, you might have some data that has country-specific lettering, and that lettering will just look weird. And yeah, we have DQ specialists looking out for those mistakes that can happen. And in some cases, it can be fixed with automation, but the best course of action would be to contact the data source and let them fix the data for further data quality checking. And of course, there is human-made mistakes. Happens to every one of us. It can be a typo, a space where you didn't want it to be. And that can also, to some extent, be fixed by automation. You do have to make sure, though, that the data you are fixing with automation, that you don't fix anything that doesn't really need fixing. So yeah, definitely need to check out for that. And data quality specialists are looking for those occurrences as well every day. And what is best solved with automation would be reoccurring faults of data. Let's say you have data that cannot be fixed from the source, and it will have the same mistake all over again every time you try to process the data. In that case, we can fully utilize automation to make the data as proper as it needs to be. And we, of course, have filters and rules. Filters let us filter out the data we don't want to use, whether it's incomplete or it just isn't right for usage. And of course, we have rules that can be put together with automation. Let's say you want to fix some certain encoding mistakes or typos, then you can use the rules to set up automation for that. And of course, you have duplicates in data. In most cases, we have this awesome tool named Expressit, also from Ab Initio, and that allows you to remove all duplicates. But in some cases, there are already from multiple sources, you have different data. And some of the entries are newer, some are older. Then you need, again, data quality specialists to check out if the new data is new data, that the timestamp isn't just newer, and then a decision has to be made what data to use. So all this together helps us deal with the key problems. And also, we have a presentation of Expressit itself. We wanted to do a demo, but yeah, we are having some maintenance, and yeah, we put them into presentation for now as screenshots of the tool. So on this picture, you can see you can choose from many source types. It can be a file, it can be an Excel, it can be a graph, which is a Ab Initio-based backend type of data loading. There you can do all sorts of stuff with data, filter it even more if you need to. And of course, different types of databases. And of course, files in general can be loaded in, but Excel is there as a separate option to be the most compatible. And here is a really simple way you can add some rules. You can check what you want to add, and yeah, you don't need to be a developer or a software engineer to do this. Data quality specialists can absolutely do it. And let's say you do want to go more into detail and write your own rules, then you can always write your own rule in the conditions. Of course, here in the demo, we didn't put anything too complicated here. This is just for display, but it gives you a nice idea. And you can also see when you're doing data tests, the overall diagram and results, what the data, how the data finished, and how many of it was wrong, and how many records it processed. And yeah, if someone is thinking that how long does usually a data quality check take, it doesn't really take long at all. But the most time-consuming part would be if you are loading a huge set of data. We're talking about maybe millions of records. Then what you're really waiting behind is the amount of data you're loading in, because that data has to be loaded first. But yeah, usually the checks are quick. If you have even millions of records, probably 30 minutes is all you need to perform a check on the data. And here is a listing of all the data that has issues. You can see that on the left side, it will give you an issue code. What is wrong with the data? Is it a duplicate? Is it incomplete? And if it's blank, and then you see in the disposition tab, you can see what is being done with the data, if it can be cleaned, rejected, or just logged for further actions. And yeah. And I think that's it for the tool as well. I think we're finishing maybe a little bit early.
Maybe if you can just explain one of the lines, what the position is, and the null code and the control points.
Oh, yeah, the control points and everything there is tied down to database, they're related to database IDs, so they can identify about the rule codes as well. They are database specific, so you can find the correct data line. Each of them have their own specific rule codes where you can check what rule code it is about and what data it stores. And yeah.
Thank you very much. But maybe I'm really sorry that we are finishing 3 minutes earlier because the demo was supposed to last longer. But maybe just from my side, like the point to take is that this data security and governance, it shouldn't be a burden to companies. It should be actually something fun to work on, because you as software engineers, because most of the people sitting here are actually software engineers, you can play a lot with this and work on enhancement, work on accelerations, and make the platforms that we are actually holding the data on secure for our stakeholders. And the most important thing also, or the goal for all of the businesses, is to make the stakeholder happy and make them reach their goal as fast as possible. So that would be it for us. Questions?
Let's start with an applause. Thanks for this presentation. I have one question. Can't you utilize like language models sometimes to fix some data, or even fill in the blanks that are missing or something like that?
When it comes to Express itself, it's one of the many tools we use. But we do have data quality specialists working with it, and I would completely recommend you to come to our booth later, because data quality specialists are doing this job daily. My main focus is to keep the tool up and running, and yeah, I wanted to get you the most correct answer possible.
Cool. What was the tool called, by the way?
Express it.
Express it.
But maybe to say this, that yes, we can use the machine learning models to actually fill in the data, but of course that needs to be done in a specific way so that we don't change the existing data and we don't kind of play with the quality of it, because most of the data that the bank holds is customer data, and it has a lot of private data in it.
Absolutely.
But for our stakeholders, there are actually some parts of the bank that do actually create these machine learning models, and they do actually fill in the gaps in the data as well.
Do we have a question from the audience? There is one.
So on one of the slides, you mentioned that you are doing data obfuscation. And to my understanding, obfuscation it's not deleting any part of data, it's not encrypting, it just makes it harder to understand what
yes.
people. So you're making it harder for yourself to understand. But
no,
can you clarify, yes, so what kind of data you are obfuscating and what are you trying to achieve with it?
Yes, so as I hate this word, but the data masking, it's very hard to pronounce. But yes, the whole point of data masking is actually to make it for somebody who doesn't have access to the data impossible or as hard as we can make it for them to read, so that they actually can't make any use of our data. But as you said, and I said in the presentation, for ourselves, for people who and software who has access to the data, they can make total sense of it. And the main point of that is to make the data secure, or make the platform where that masked data is at secure. So let's say you break into the cloud storage. You won't be able to make any meaning of the data that you are actually trying to read. So for you, breaking into the storage won't make, I mean, it makes no sense if you can't get the data. Sorry, was that the question?
Yes, but it sounds like security through obscurity. Just maybe buying you a bit of time, but it's not adding security, I think. No?
Yeah, okay, I see. So you are talking about first-line security, meaning that we should have security so that nobody can break into it at all. That's what you mean. But this is like a second line of security. If things happen, then how do we prevent the if as well? So you need to think of different kinds of levels. And we know that, for example, cloud data has been breached before. That happened to many big companies, and it happens every now and then. In the last couple of years, let's say 2-3 years, it's less. But before, when cloud just became a thing, it happened, I won't say regularly, but it happened quite often. So you should always have more lines of security to add to the data.
Okay, thanks.
Any more questions? One more in the front line.
Hello. You mentioned once GDPR and being able to respond in a month. So does this platform in the cloud help to also handle some requests that some customer wants give me all my data for GDPR DSAR purpose?
Yes, so when a customer requests all of their data, that means literally all. And we are a huge bank, we have a lot of system and the storages, and Lake is one of them. So if somebody would request their data, that would mean on the Lake as well, if the data is still there. But the Lake is not meant to have the data for retention, for a storage purpose. It's meant for people exploring on it, doing their analytics, but then once they don't need it anymore, we need to get rid of it. So if the data is still there, of course, they would need to get it, but if it's not there, it's not there anymore.
Okay, thanks.
There was another question, yes?
Hello. The software called Express-it, I'm interested in it. Did you build it yourself? Is it like some off-the-shelf software from like a different company? But when you say that you put in like some work to get the system up and running for the end users to use it, I mean the people in the company who are putting in those rules, what exactly are you doing?
So yeah, this is a prepackaged software from ab initio, and it can be customized to companies' needs. And for us, we set up the software, we maintain it, we develop things. If the software doesn't give those features itself, let's say you need some extra data checking with some other software, then you can develop your own script and development language, and upgrades and everything, bugs, features, whatever comes with the new updates and everything, software engineers we deal with, and we make sure that the environment is up and running for specialists to use. But yeah, definitely, if you want to learn more about these software packages and how it all works, you can definitely come by the booth and ask us.